Welcome to the Ask You Review. This is my take on Washington and the state of our nation. Glad you joined us. Hey, it's 2020 and it's an election year, and if you've been following politics, recent history suggests it's going to be a wild and crazy ride to November. I hope you join me for it. It's going to be a lot to talk about. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'd really like to hear from you. Now, right now, everybody's talking about impeach, collusion, all these other things, Spygate. It's all distractions from the issues that we need to talk about as the American people that are going to affect us, all right? Now, there's going to be many topics that are going to be in opposition with both parties. One of those, taxes. Currently, we have an administration that believes that lowering taxes everywhere possible is good for the people. Striking down regulation is good for business, all right? And it seems to be working. Allowing the private sector to take control and be the engine of our economy seems to work a lot better than what the previous administration had, which was tax and regulate and grow government and make government the engine of our economy. Well, how are taxes played out in history? And I ain't talking about our history and American history, our short 200 years plus. I'm talking about world history. Well, according to the Bible, Abraham paid the first tax. It was written by the hand of divinity onto a stone and placed atop Mount Sinai. And the wrath of God be on who changed that. Taxes have been in every major empire that ever existed in history. The Roman Empire, the ancient Greece, China, Spain. All these countries had great tax systems and they had great governments in the beginning. Lasted about 150, 200 years, about the same place that we are in our lifespan. What happened? What happened to all these great empires after about 150, 200 years? Well, they began to degrade, demoralize. Labor forces crashed. Why? What happened? Well, just like with America, we started off with the American spirit. And that was frontiersmen that got out here and were thankful for having nothing, but thankful that God had given them a blue sky and an opportunity to succeed. They may not have said it like this, but I'm sure that spirit was to believe in my God, to believe in my country, and to believe in myself. That's what's formed every great country, empire, nation in history, all right? Well, they become fruitful. They do great. The people do well. I mean, let's look at us here in the United States. We make up about 7% of the population, but we own all the good stuff. It's because of the American spirit. But just like in those other nations, the same thing is happening here, where we start becoming lazy, fat, demoralized. We want more from our government. And as we want more from our government's got to pay for it. So they have to tax us more, and they have to become bigger. And we want more. And the more we want, the more we give away. Now, of every nation in history, the United States, the American people are really unique. We did something no other people has ever done. All right? And that is we voluntarily gave away all of our private property to the government. Yeah, we did. It's a little innocent thing called the 16th Amendment. And what that does is that gives the power of the government to collect tax by any means necessary. They can take your property, they can do whatever. Now, one thing that we didn't do when we gave away all our stuff to the government was set a limit on how much we could be taxed. So we could be taxed legally up to 100%. You could wake up tomorrow and the government could decide to tax us at 100% of everything we have, and it would be completely legal. They would own the keys and the deed to the church, and there's nothing that you could do about it. All right? We did that to ourselves. Okay? That's why it is so important to understand these people, when they want to get up there and they want to heavily tax you, they want to heavily tax corporations, heavily tax the rich, tax you everywhere that you possibly can, what that's going to do to our economy. Historically, any society that has ever been taxed more than 25% is headed for economic ruin. And that's where we were headed with the Obama administration. We've turned things around at this point. But right now, you got candidates that are up there and they want to give you free this, free that, reparations, money, money, money. They want to buy your vote. And they want to tax the rich, 90%. They want to put huge taxes on corporations, on individuals, on inheritance, on property, everything that they can tax. They want that money so they can be bigger and they can do more for us and take more of our taxes. Well, let's look at the rich being taxed. And that's pretty simple. The rich can do well here or they can do elsewhere. End of story on that one. Corporations, most people seem to think for some strange reason that when we raise taxes on corporation, it's just like raising taxes on individuals, where we're taking the money literally out of our pocket and paying that tax, and there ain't a darn thing you can do about it. And people think, oh, get the corporations. That's what they need. They need that money taken away from them. It's not the way it works. When you put taxes on corporations, no matter how much, then that's how much their goods and services go up. I don't want to offend any business owners in this nation, but in reality, you don't pay tax. No business, no corporation pays tax in this country. You're tax collectors. Because if you paid tax, you'd go out of business. All right? All your profits would be going to Washington or the state and local governments. You wouldn't have a penny to your name. So how do you keep from doing that? Well, you put that tax inherent into your goods and services, and you collect them from the people, and then you hand them over to the government. Now, with corporations, when you raise those taxes, they're just going to raise it on you. That's more money out of your pocket. So when they talk about raising taxes on corporation, that's a tax on the people. You've got to understand that. It is simple. Now, all this free stuff, again, who's going to pay for it? Free is nice, but remember the American spirit. It was thankful for having nothing than the opportunity to be thankful, to believe in your God, in your country, and in yourself. And that spirit drives us to be great. And if we continue down this road of demanding more from our government, expecting free stuff from our government, wanting them to take care of us from cradle to grave, then they're going to tax us out of existence. It was a nation. It was in a Great Depression. She had been in a war. They thought they needed a great man to come in and take hold of this nation and regulate the people. When he come in, he focused on the financial disaster that was facing the nation, which was the right thing to do. But then he went on and he started just adding regulations to commerce, regulations to capital, regulations to business. When people oppose the common sense of economy, they were fired for not following what he believed. The taxation, the regulations, it destroyed the nation. It fell. This may sound like somebody you know of recent history, but this happened over 1,000 years ago in China. History will repeat itself. It's happened in Rome. It's happened in Greece. It's happened in China. And I promise you, it will happen here. It is time for we, the American people, to readopt the spirit of this country that made it great. And that was my God, my country, and myself is all I need. And this is the Ask You Review.